Hello. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I know it has been a long 2 days, but we have to have this talk about dental hygiene. When was the last time you visited your dentist? You go there not because you are in pain, you go there because you want to avoid being in pain. This means you are taking a preventive approach to your teeth health, to your dental hygiene. And as we can see from some data, the trend is on the rise. People clearly prefer to avoid pain when they can. Also, it's cheaper. The question then stands, why don't we do that for cybersecurity? Why only 7% of organizations have multi-factor protection of majority of their critical resources? Why only 10% of organizations have a fully onboarded privileged access management system? Why? Because 58% of IT teams have not deployed a PAM solution because it was too expensive. Or more than 30% of IT leaders consider privileged access management to be way too complex to deploy and even use. That is what we are trying to solve with Excalibur. That's why this talk is called Democratizing Privileged Access Management, Cybersecurity Best Practices for Everyone. So from a high-level perspective, how can you imagine Excalibur is basically a system that streams access to your company resources directly to your web browser. The only thing your users need is their mobile phone, the most trusted device everybody already owns. And if you think about it, it's the device that you do your mobile banking on. It's the device you take the pictures of your children with. Clearly you have to trust such device, so why not use it for authentication needs in a way that there are no more passwords, just your phone. On the phone it looks something like this. I will also show videos, so don't worry. So you can use the biometry, which is built on most modern phones. If you don't have biometry, you can use a PIN code. The phone is able to do precise geolocation, which is a key differentiator of Excalibur, where we basically are able to do precise geofencing on the building level to make sure your employees can log in only, for example, from your branch office, or for example from their home addresses, and not from a pub or some other unsecure location. So let me play a video, because seeing it in action is so much better than just hearing about it. On this side we have the phone, on this side it's our web-based interface. The phone was used to log in. Now we switch to PAM view. There are the resources the user can use. On click it opens on a new tab. And once Windows manages to log us in, we basically see that we can interact with Windows in a way that has no latency or quality loss, as you would expect, so the user can do everything that they would normally do. Copy paste, of course it's controllable. You can do file transfers, or you can deny them if you want. So everything you would expect remote access to do, you can do directly from the browser. If you notice on the screen of the phone, it displays your active session, and it also displays the location where you are, so that we can use the information for other tasks in the authentication flow. Now we are logging into a server, Linux server, so it's using SSH protocol, and we are just doing some commands to demonstrate that you can just perform your classic work routines like you would do using PuTTY or a direct terminal. But this way you go through a browser, everything is recorded, everything is cryptographically signed by your phone, so that there is absolute non-repudiation. You cannot say this wasn't me, this was somebody else, because it's signed by your phone, your biometry, your secure element, and so on. So a technical perspective, what's going on here is that normally in a classic approach, when you would like to have some resources for people to use, you would have to expose them, either through firewall or through a VPN or by any other means. get some kind of direct access to those resources. But when you create this direct access, it also allows the user to try to exploit any kind of vulnerabilities that there may be. So instead, what we do in Excalibur, any kind of classic protocols you would like to use, RDP, SSH, HTTP, doesn't really matter. We tunnel it to our server, and at the server it is terminated. This basically means the protocol is terminated on our server, and we just stream to you the graphical output of that session. So you are interacting with an interactive stream and nothing else. This means that if there would be some vulnerability in those protocols or in those endpoint applications, you would not be able to exploit them through the stream of pictures that you are seeing. So this means there is no more direct attack vectors on the resources that you are providing to your employees, and everything is interactively streamed. So this is a simplified view of the same, of what it is in simplified terms, just visual streaming, interactive, directly to your browser while being recorded and directly from cloud accessing resources. They do not need to be exposed because we can tunnel to them even if they are somewhere hidden in your intranet or not accessible directly to the users or to the Excalibur cloud. So, okay. The deep integration that we have between authentication and privileged access management and allows us to do stuff that other vendors cannot do. Think of it like this. You have usually vendors that are just MFA and vendors that are just PAM. And what they are trying to do is to have maximum compatibility between them. So if you are a PAM vendor, you would like to have maximum compatibility with MFAs and vice versa. This is of course nice, but it also means you have to buy two things separately, and the way they interact and the way they integrate is limited. We basically can do native, our system is natively integrated, so we can do fancy stuff like, for example, shown here, which is peer verification. Peer verification is just a method how you can have multiple people verifying an action before it proceeds. So imagine it like this. If it is a high security server, like some Active Directory controller, you can just set a security policy that will require not only this user to authenticate, but also another one to confirm that he is able to do it. And we can do it locally or even remotely for work from home scenarios where you can be chilling on your couch, but you get a request to confirm that yes, your colleague Joe is in fact doing something on the system and he needs access, so you can just in time confirm. And thus reduce human element weaknesses and human element risks, because from statistics we know that large financial institutions, for example, have more costs related to internal fraud than from external attacks. So it's usually some disgruntled employee that just wants to do some revenge or just leak some data. And how do you stop that? You stop that only by having multiple people confirm security critical events, which is usually referred to like 4i control, and Excalibur allows you to do that simply from mobile phone on any authentication action. So my timer here is running scarily low, but I hope there is a bug and not a purpose. We should have 20 minutes. So here we are showing that Excalibur can be used not only for privileged access management, but also to log into local resources. So this here demonstrates login to a Windows machine. So you can think of it the exactly same way how I showed the authentication can be used to make all your Windows machines instantly passwordless across your whole Active Directory domain. So the same user experience, but even more features, because now we can also log out, log sessions directly from the mobile phone, or log back in without scanning the QR code if you are still in proximity. So a lot of fancy things, far more than I can show on the videos, so make sure to check our stand or contact us via email. So let me check my time because this is running scarily low, so I will not trust the timer and we will just continue. I hope it's okay with the organizers. So what we are showing here is logout triggered from the phone, and again the user experience is always the same. Nothing you could do possibly wrong. There is no password you could phish no password you could social engineer, no way for the user to delegate access because it's tied to his phone, his biometry, his location, his secure element, and so on. So, of course, this is just the top tip of the iceberg. There is so much more we can do, and that we have integrations for using classic protocols, like, for example, SAML. So in the next few slides, I would like to demonstrate that. So here we are doing Cisco VPN connection that is authenticated using SAML. So as you can see, the same approach, just show a QR code, scan QR code, provide authentication factors, and voila, we are logged in. And think of it like this. Classic MFA, when they are push-based, you can have push-based attacks that just try to fatigue users. So you just spam them push notifications until one of them just clicks OK just to get rid of it. But when you have a pull-based system like this, it's a QR code. You have to actively perform an action to trigger it. So you cannot have attacks like push notification fatigue. So here, I skipped Fortinet VPN client because it's the same. You can imagine everything is SAML based. And here we are demonstrated how SAML can be used to log into web-based resources. So SAML is a very nice protocol you can use, for example, to log into Office 365 or Gmail, Google Workspace, whatever you may be using, or even in-house applications. And Excalibur basically acts as SAML identity provider in those cases. So you can use it to cover all your authentication needs, not only privileged access management, not only endpoints, but also any kind of web apps, VPNs, whatever you can think of. So at the end, I would like to kind of like summarize how to think about all of this, because it's kind of overwhelming. So I would like just to say that think of us as your preventive cyber dentist, but with the differentiation that we have much better value for money. Thank you.